beloveds! Happy April! I am wishing you a month of absolute abundance. I am so excited to tell you about some things that have been intentionally through co-creation with the divine, through alignment, through really stepping into sovereignty and my sacred feminine power infused with a boatload of Shakti and just joy, absolute joy. What has been transpiring with my memoirs, The Beauty and the Broken Glass, Memoirs of Trauma and Transcendence. So, I'm leaning into where to even begin as I want to keep this brief, but I also want to give you some yummy details. I began this book really devoting to it a few years ago. And as I was really devoting to it, the world was going through all sorts of things, as you've all been experiencing and intuiting simultaneously. In addition, there were some huge up-levelings and shape-shifting internally and externally circumstances in my own life and with my children and with our lives. And it just felt forced. And I had the interest of mainstream publishers that had pursued me following documentaries and things of that sort. Yet every time they made an offer, it stipulated that they would own the rights to my story, they would get the creative royalties, and they wanted to sensationalize the NDE while not focusing on the integration and after effects. Those of you that have been with me for quite a while, you know my journey has been difficult. You know that integration is really what propelled me into speaking. You know I speak quite often about the dark night of the soul and the difficulties of mental health crises. Suicidality, that's something I've spoke about in depth when people didn't want to hear about it. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice the core of my beingness to have a mainstream publisher tell my story. And really, they were the ones telling it. They were limiting what I was allowed to say if I wanted to do it their way. Yes, it would have went out to an audience really easily. Yes, they would pay for all of the marketing, but they were stripping me of my power, which I had worked so hard to recalibrate and reorient and reclaim. And so that really was a dark period of feeling like a lack of care from so many of the environments that encourage NDE storytelling. It just felt like it was for consumption and it lacked soul. And so I completely pulled back. I went into creative writing. I stayed in the realm of poetry and the liminal, the places I love, and I allowed myself to purge that there. Well, Spirit spoke to me in January, and the title of this book, though it came to me almost, I would say, 3 years prior in a poem, actually is made manifest in what occurred therein. On December 8th of 2025, I had a severe asthma attack. Many of you know my lungs, which were one of the organs that failed, struggle. They are the only organ that has not maintained spontaneous remission. Each fall, and particularly since the fires that devastated Southern California last year, my lungs struggle deeply. Many of you that work with me are aware of this because I have to take prolific periods to heal therein. This year, during the fall and early winter, was the most significant flare-up I have had in the 15 years since coma. During this time, I experienced what is known as a night awakening. I woke up severely under distress from an asthma attack. For some reason, I had moved my nebulizer to the other side of the bed. When I went to get to the nebulizer, my oxygen completely failed. I lost air. I went face first into a glass table. My face and my teeth shattered on said table. From the lack of air, I remember absolutely nothing. I woke up, trigger warning, to the blood and to the debris and to my own handprint on my carpet, and I realized something horrible had happened. There was no feeling in my face. I had completely cracked 3 of the front teeth. It was excruciating, and that is an understatement. I saw myself in that moment, but unlike the Brooke of old, the Brooke who took her worth from the external and from other people's interpretation and validation, I saw myself in that moment as an indomitable, eternal soul. I saw that while the body had been devastated, and yes, there were no feeling in the front teeth, there still are not. Although I witnessed this and saw it, I wasn't devastated. I know that may sound strange, but in that moment, I felt the full expression of my divinity. I felt what I've overcome in this lifetime. I felt my power. I knew teeth could and would be fixed. I knew that nerves can and will regenerate. It was Christmas, just much like in coma, and I had to go through that entire season with 3 broken front teeth. The pain was so severe that they could not do anything. They could not help the teeth cosmetically because I couldn't tolerate them touching it. I consciously chose not to take pain medications. I chose to allow it to heal naturally. And the joy of this is I was so radically supported by the inner realms that the pain did not alter me. I had the inner resources, I had the resolve, and I had the knowing of my teams of the highest light and the best that made this situation manageable. I had one of the absolute greatest holiday seasons with my boys, who at that time were only 8 and 12. I refused to cower to how other people's perceptions defined me. I continued to beam, radiate, and smile anywhere I went. I did not revolt in disgust. I did not allow myself to cower in shame. I showed up each and every day, and I co-created a beautiful, luminous holiday season with my boys and my extended family. It was strange for those that had to witness this, as they felt more pain, apparently, than they thought I was feeling. And it wasn't from a lack of feeling. It was just this an awareness that this is temporal. This is the body. This is, this experience of matter. And that in that fall, something extraordinary happened. I didn't die. I didn't have another NDE, thankfully. Although I love the experience of one, I don't want to come that close to death again. But also, I just had this power that was pulsing through me that once was only something I could dream of. And so I listened to Spirit. And though I had 2 complete drafts that were nearly published with 2 separate publishers in spiritual communities, I decided to take their advice. At the same time I was healing, Spirit let it be known that I was going to write a 3rd and final draft, and that I was going to do it entirely before spring. When this information came through, of course, my ego and my lower mind wanted to combat it. They were like, this is nuts. We've spent years. Those are done. Why would we want to go back? But my higher self knew things were brewing in the collective, things that had made it so I couldn't say certain parts of my story without a fear of judgment, without a fear of shame, suddenly were coming into mainstream knowing. We were undergoing the threat of a new war at this time. We were simultaneously undergoing the great unveiling of the sexual predatory nature of so many of our power structures. Things that I had firmly maintained were now commonly being known, and systems were dissolving. If ever there was an opportunity to speak the raw, unencumbered truth, this was it. And so, in January 8th, exactly 1 month after the fall, I had my teeth fixed for the first time, a process which continued through February. The nerves now on April 1st still have no feeling. I have been on a raw fruit, raw tofu, and juice diet since that time. As if I chew at all with my front teeth, the pain is extraordinary. I can adapt. Adaptation and evolution have kept me thriving. The diet is temporal. I researched and found a protocol using high doses of functional, non-psychedelic mushrooms, which help regenerate the nerves. I am confident using this protocol, which is currently being utilized by Johns Hopkins as well, ironically, where my coma began, that I will be able to regenerate these nerves. Spirit says it will be so. The medical establishment naturally does not agree with me, but they never have, and I'm living proof that they are often wrong. And so I did everything preparatory to support healing fully of my body. And when I got the divine go, I started a brand new draft entirely, consciously channeled with no linear script and no idea where it was going or where it would end. It is so radically different than the first two. I started that March 1st. I called March Miracle March, and I devoted 1 to 2 hours a day to sacred energy work with creation, which is what I will be teaching you in Transmission Thursdays, and really where that love offering came from. I spent 1 to 2 hours devoted into that space, and then from that space, I would go and consciously channel. I did this for 31 days, just an hour or two. I took days off when intuition told me to. In those 31 days, I channeled 63,000 words, raw energetics, the somatics, the breath, the visualization. They were such a huge part of this co-creation with the divine. But I'm proud to say today, on April 1st, the book is complete. It is in its third and final draft. For those of you that have been with me a while, you know threes are significant to me. Not only was coma 3 days with 3 organs failing and 3 angels supporting it, yet my beautiful eldest was born on April 3rd in 2013. He will be turning 13 this Friday, which is why my book will be coming out July 13th, which is the day of the divine feminine. It is a number they consciously suppressed because it carries wisdom, it carries sovereignty, it carries power, it carries Shakti. And when they suppressed the goddess, they demonized the number 13. Our calendar would make a lot more sense if we had stuck with the lunar cycles and things that are in resonance and symmetry to 13. Yet I digress. That said, I am so deeply, wildly, passionately excited to share the beauty in the broken glass with you this summer. The foreword is being written this month by my soul brother, mentor, and one of my dearest and best friends, Peter Panagar. Many of you know him from Not Church and his NDE work with our community. He is brilliant. He is one of the master orators, and he is someone who has walked this journey with me. When we first met back in 2018 or 19, he thought I didn't speak. We've since done many podcasts together. We've been on many panels together, and we have been in documentaries together. And additionally, we spoke last year together on the Grand Ballroom stage about Soul Family, which is really how this book is being born. In the absence of a traditional publisher, I have done it entirely my way. This is a feminine flow. I am not going to allow any patriarchal organization or editor to cut it down. I want the raw energetics and transmissions to be your lived experience. I worked deeply with my Blessed Trinity, who's been with me for so many years. And you can read so much more about this in the book because it was deeply activating for my former Catholic and my religious trauma. Yet I worked deeply with Mother Mary, Magdalene, and Yeshua on this project. So much of it was guided by the work we accomplished in the inner realms. Additionally, I reached out to my visionary soul brother, David Ditchfield, to create the art. Between you and I haven't even seen it yet. He's getting it to me in the coming weeks. I gave him an energy transmission of what the book is all about, and then I gave him absolute creative control. I trust him. I trust spirit. I trust everything that is co-creating this project. As far as the editing, since I don't want it to be academic and I do want it to be a potent alchemical transmission, I reached out to my friend and mentor, the wondrously feminine, talented poet, Victoria Erickson, who many of you know through her work. She's very visible on social media and has been sharing things since approximately 2013. And so Victoria is currently digesting the book as the first eyes that get to feast upon it. And we are going to co-edit it, but we are not going to strip away the energies of creation. I want this to be different. I am different. And I spent such a significant period of this lifetime really limited by what others perceived about my differences. I wanted so desperately to be normal, to be validated and accepted, and to my ego, loved. But that was all wounding. And in this book, I have told each and every one of the stories that led me into the underworld again and again and again and again. And then I tell you how I alchemized it. And ultimately, that all takes us to the here and now, to this great unveiling that we are all simultaneously receiving, to what it means to be an empowered light worker, to what it means to be embodied and sovereign in our femininity, to what it means to work with creation and be a clear and conscious channel. I never, ever imagined I would have the strength, tenacity, and resolve to share as openly and as honestly and as transparently as these words are. You will feel their power. I did not say that from ego. I say that because spirit gave it to me. They gifted it to me. They let me feel and know and embody and taste what it's like to be in full, complete alignment and acceptance and nurturance of that spark. And that spark, beloveds, that is why I've created this, because that spark is in each and every one of you too. Those of you that have stuck around in my absence, I invite you to take this journey with me. I did not write this for my ego. I wrote it for our awakening world. If I can overcome the things I have in this lifetime, be here smiling and in radical joy and jubilation that we get to be here now. We get to do this sacred work. Many of us have already gone through the underworld time and time again. Now we get to be the lighthouses. We get to be the lighthouses, and we get to show people how to co-create something better. Thus, I am here now because I believe every one of you are imperative to that mission. No one individual can do it alone. This is a group effort. Moreover, I invite you all to look at where your self-perceptions, your limiting beliefs, your negative self-talk are impacting your perception. My broken teeth in that broken glass taught me so, so, so much. I regret nothing that's led me here because it has all blossomed into growth. With that, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Please drop some comments and let me know how you are and if this resonated and all the good stuff. And I look forward to connecting more and more this month and beginning transmission Thursdays on April 16th at 11 a.m. live. I love you. Have a blessed, wonderful, abundant April. Talk to you later. Bye.